Welcome back to another video by CruiseFX, aka Ryan. Today we're going to be going over the top 5 mistakes that beginner traders make. I'm making this video so then new beginner traders don't have to make the same mistakes I did 4 years ago. Coming in at number 5 is the lack of trade management. Some people call it risk management, some people call it trade management, either or. Now, a lot of beginner traders, when starting out their trading journey, don't really know about risk management. They don't know really where to put their stop losses. Some traders don't even use a stop loss. For example, if you're looking to take a trade outside of this lovely period of consolidation here and you're looking for an entry but you don't know where to place your stop loss, that is something you need to get clued up on. Now, some people don't even know where to put their stop loss. Some people don't even use a stop loss because they're so new to trading. You have to put a stop loss in. A stop loss is put in place to prevent you from losing the trade if it goes into too much drawdown. It will automatically take you out the trade. If you don't have a stop loss, then the price, if it's not going in your favour, it's going to go down and down and down and down, or in the reverse, it could go up and up and up and up, and you could blow your whole account in one trade. For example, looking at this trade here, this is something that I took the other week in London session. We had a lovely clean break outside of our most recent range. We moved a bit too far, so I wanted to have a bearish candle form first, which we then did here. And as I entered the trade at the break of the previous wick, we had clean range to the left hand side and reaching all-time new highs on gold. I made sure that my stop loss was below this current low, so if price were to react in a way that I didn't want it to react and go in the opposite direction of what I wanted it to do, I know that my stop loss is in place. So if it loses, it loses. I'm only going to lose a certain amount where my stop loss is. Fortunately, this trade played out perfectly and I gained a really nice 1% of my account. Now, also when trading and looking at risk management, stop loss isn't the only thing you can do to manage your risk. Another thing that I personally like to do is when my trade starts going into a certain amount of pips in profit, say 10 to 15 to 20 pips, I will then get my stop loss and I will put it to break even. What does break even and risk free mean? Basically, as soon as your trade goes into a nice bit of profit, you can move your stop loss to where you entered the trade. Therefore, if price came all the way back down to your entry, you lose nothing. Another thing I like to do for risk management when in profits, once I start hitting certain areas in the charts, I'll start to close out partials of my profit. So if you imagine loads and loads of cash on the table and it starts building up as your trade keeps going into profit, and you've got loads and loads of notes on the table, when you close out partials, you can actually take some of that money off of the table, so you've already secured a lovely amount of profit, and the rest of the money that you've got left in the trade, you can leave that bit in there for that to carry on building up, and we like to call these runners. That brings me into my final part of risk management when I'm in profits. Now, as my trade keeps going more in profit, more in profit, more in profit, I then actually start to trail my stop loss. So I keep moving it up below the current candle, keep moving it and moving it and moving it. This way, if price ever does come back up down to my stop loss, I'm securing more profits bit by bit by bit. That brings me to number 4, not adapting to market conditions. Now, personally for me, in the strategy I use and the way that I trade, I'm always constantly adapting to market conditions. Lots and lots of beginner traders, they don't adapt to market conditions. For example, if you're trending one way in the market and you're trending like this, you're trending bullish, uptrend, beginner traders only think that's the only way price can go now. However, within this uptrend, there are actually opportunities to take obviously buys, but you can actually take opportunities for sells as well, meaning you can adapt to both ways on the market. Don't get me wrong, it's better to stay with the trend, but there is always time and reason to adapt and change the conditions of the trade. For example, if you look at the chart here, we're clearly very bearish in the market. You can also mark out the lower lows and the lower highs, and we're clearly in an overall downward trend going bearish. However, you have to adapt to market conditions because it's not always going to be plain sailing going down one way. This is also exactly part of my strategy, this trade here. We formed this really nice period of consolidation pre-London. We then got this candle to close outside of our newly formed range, and at the break of the previous wick, there's a lovely opportunity to take that buy, securing a really nice healthy amount of pips. Therefore, even though we're in a downtrend, we actually took a trade, adapted to market conditions and took a buy, and we profited from it. That brings me to number 3, trading difficult and unclear patterns. Now, that's quite broad, but what I mean by this is that in trading there's lots of different strategies. You can learn patterns, you can learn fair value gaps, you can learn liquidity, you can learn support and resistance, you can learn breakup patterns. There is so many different styles of trading, but what you need to do as a beginner is take one strategy and stick to it. Please take that from me, because when I first started out trading, I started learning one strategy. It was working, it was not working. I then tried to learn 3 or 4 different strategies, and I had all that information in my head, and I'm telling you, it did jumble me completely. This is the worst thing I ever did. And guess what strategy that I trade today? It was the very first one that I ever learned. So please take it from me, stick to one strategy. Don't start trading unclear patterns that you don't really know about. Learn that one strategy, you will master it. You'll get people in the trading industry saying, no, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't trade like that, you shouldn't trade like this. Honestly, believe in yourself and back yourself. If you've got a proven and tested strategy, then you have to stick to it. In addition to this, when you are learning strategy and you are educating yourself on a new strategy, it's going to be really, really tempting to start forcing trades. At the beginning you might not even be doing it, but what you're going to be doing, you're going to be looking at the charts and you're going to be thinking, oh, here's a trade, this is part of my strategy. But you cannot force a trade. If it doesn't look right, that's because it's not right. Be patient with your strategy, be patient with your setup. That is exactly what I do today with my students. I make sure that I only teach them the best setups. If it doesn't look right, then it's not right. That brings me to number 2, which will be short and sweet. Number 2 is failing to cut losses quickly. Now, in terms of failing to cut losses quickly, I do think that cutting losses when as soon as you get into a bit of drawdown isn't a great thing, because you do need to give your trades a bit of breathing space. Saying that, you have to put a stop loss in place where you think is accurate, where it makes sense on the chart. If you believe in your trade, you believe in your analysis, then you should trust where your stop loss is, and that is okay. Now, what a really bad habit and tendency for some people to do is the following. Say you entered this sell position down here and you're anticipating price to continue down, you go into some profits, you come back into drawdown, you don't like the fact that you're in drawdown, so then you start moving your stop loss. You know, start moving it again and again and again and again, and before you know it, you have blown your account. You have to trust your analysis. If it doesn't play out, that's okay. Not every trade is going to play out in your favor. Even if you're the world's best trader, you are going to take losses. And finally, that brings me to number 1. The number 1 mistake that beginner traders make is not having a trading plan. You can't just go into the markets not having a trading plan, going in thinking, I'm just going to enter here, I'm going to enter a buy here, I'm going to enter a sell here. But what are you doing when you're in that position? You have to know what you're doing. You have to know how many pips you want to risk on your stop loss, how much percent you're going to try and gain in that position. What is your confirmations when looking at a trade? What is the confirmation for your trade entry? What will you do if your trade starts going against you? Do you have a target for the certain day? Do you have a target for the certain week? How many trades are you going to take on each day? You can't be over trading now. I used to chop and change my trading plan a lot and it didn't work out in certain areas, but now finally over the past year when I've become profitable, bearing in mind it took me 4 years to learn, I now have a trading plan that I absolutely swear by, and I will not go away from that trading plan. This is also something that I have in my course. I've got a full debrief of my trading plan, everything that I look for, specific requirements for every single trade. And that is a wrap, guys. That brings me to the end of the video, the top 5 mistakes that beginner traders make, so you don't have to. Leave a comment down below on your biggest mistake as a trader when you first started out. And if you do like this content, please leave a like, please hit that subscribe button, it really does help me out.